Hello and welcome to the Pokemon Spectrum vlog number 25. The final one.
Yes.
Oh god.
Oh, good.
Oasis.
Orsius.
Oh,
I think that's a good summary.
Every single campaign that I've done always had some major choice at the end. And they
I
were
was waiting for the
never
gut punch.
they're never easy. If you watch Dragon Age Season 2 and you watched all of the players and characters dealing with that choice, it was not easy. They were all like ridiculously torn, and there was a lot of arguments and debates going back and forth. There also was a very major choice in Dragon Age Season 1, which wasn't clear cut. The good versus evil choice was really not that clear in that one, but they had that choice. The Mass Effect one was probably the easier of the choices, but it was still complex in a way. So, um, but this one was meant to be tough because, well, you tell me about it, because you guys had the choice in your laps, and I went in feeling like I have no idea which way you guys are gonna go, and for me, thinking that, I thought, okay, this must be a hard choice if I can't even predict what you guys are gonna do with it. So
What to say about that?
Yeah, this was crazy.
All options bad.
Yeah,
Just what's your flavor of bad?
it's like
We tried the good one, but it failed.
We tried so hard.
Molly died for you guys.
No.
Well, technically she didn't. Only in the
Technically she didn't.
Yeah, but there's an alternate
Only about a
universe out
minute.
there that she did die
See,
in.
well, it was right. It was just a nightmare.
yeah, it was just well, it was right. This is all just a nightmare. Madame Vu, she had a conversation with Chase, not in this session, but several sessions before, and she kind of predicted that this was going to happen because she told Chase that you guys are going to have to make a very difficult decision, and it's not going to be clear cut, and it's going to be an uncomfortable. I think she actually used that word. It's going to be a very uncomfortable decision, and probably one that you don't want to make. Um, and it's it's an interesting one because if you I know that some of you are wondering, well, why should we make this decision in the first place? It's this decision kind of sucks and things like that. Well, I know that not to be like, not to go into the religious realm too much, but I know that a lot of people are saying, well, if God is such a good person, then why does he let all this violence happen? Why does he let, you know, hunger and whatever, like all these bad things? And people are like, if you could just make it so everybody just lived in harmony and made it so everybody like got along, wouldn't that be better? And so would that be better if you guys just made it so that people sort of lost their free will and were in peace? Like, isn't that better than just letting all the stupid humans and the stupid Pokemon just let war
Until
happen?
season 2 overturns us.
I mean, apparently the majority of people seem to think that.
Yeah,
In character, sure.
in character at least. In character.
Yeah, in character, that was that was the best choice that Annie felt she could have made, was to achieve that childhood dream that she had where everyone was all got along and was happy. And she thought that she lost that when she grew up, but it's sort of like that inner naivete kind of reawakened with this choice in her. And even though she was, her inner Vivienne kind of came out when during all the debates and stuff, which was fun. She probably isn't even aware that it happened, but yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say even that naivete, like wishing for everybody to, like for this peace to happen. I mean, Chase is still very much of the thought that everyone failed, not succeeded. That's his personal feelings about things, because as soon as you use subjectivity to make decisions, then you're making an unbiased choice. And for Chase, it's gray. There's no gray. It's black or white. But even more than that is like, what right do you have to decide who can still remember the pain that they felt that motivated them to want war in the first place? Or like, what right do you have to choose who gets to remember? And so from the Chase perspective, the majority right now is okay, but it only takes a bad seed, right? A bad seed, and one bad seed can corrupt them all again. So his fear is that even the people you have close to you and that you trust, today you do, but something can happen in their life and they're always going to remember, and they're always going to be able to react. And if that reaction turns into a revolutionary, like someone like Vivian, that has, a way with words and people, and all of a sudden we're back here in 5 years or whatever. So yeah, but it wasn't his choice to make, and he respected it.
Why wasn't it his choice?
He is the one that suggested it, though.
No, he suggested everybody. It's everybody or nobody.
Ah.
Everybody or nobody. And Noir decided it was going to be some people would not. And at that point, yeah.
Well, it's already kind of sort of everybody, somebody, as it's only targeting those that want to go to war. There's people that's probably not going to touch it all.
Yeah, but it just takes like Fabian, let's say, to grow up in 20 years, and he remembers everything, and he doesn't turn out the way Noir wants him to turn out, because Fabian's his own person. And Fabian goes, well, no, wait.
Well, he remembers everything. That's not taking away memories. It's only...
Right. And what I'm saying is, because Fabian remembers everything, he could become a bad seed. And if Fabian becomes a bad seed, then he has the power. He could have the power to motivate 2 more people to be a bad seed, and those 2 can make 10 people, and those 10 can make 100 people, and then we're back here again, because that's how these things happen.
Hi,
right?
season 2.
This is how these things happen. So revolutions don't happen because 10,000 people decide the same thing together. A revolution happens when one person stands up and speaks words that everyone gets behind, and then that creates the crowd. And when a crowd happens, then it becomes so big you can't stop it, and that's what cycles history. That's why we're in these cycles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm going to say that's not, even if we had targeted everybody, it wouldn't have worked forever. Because it doesn't affect the others who born after.
Right.
Agreed.
So they maybe will be born in a world where everybody is in harmony, but eventually it will change.
Yeah, one bad seed, yeah.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. But it's still this.
Yeah, it's the war's not going to start this generation.
Yeah.
Or at least for a few decades. Like, our characters' immediate families are going to be okay.
Also, those of us that remember that from before, which is another reason Tiffany didn't want to let go of her memories, is we can keep an eye out for that. We can still be a task force.
Mm-hmm. And as hard as the decision was, and as hard as Molly's going to take it from now on, like I think her choosing to remember everything, and also her deciding to share it with Alicia later, like maybe not right away, maybe like a few years down the line, she'll probably try to share the burden with Alicia, and at least then she'll have some support outside of the main group. But in character, like I was struggling the entire session, and then toward the end, finally I decided, you know what, Molly would trust Noir to she would trust whatever decision Noir wanted to make, and like no matter what, like she trusted Noir with the Giratina decision as well.
Yeah,
like even if Noir had offered to sacrifice herself to Giratina, Molly would have stood by her and would have said it was her choice to make. So in this case, Noir had the biggest burden out of all of us. Like we were all insanely burdened by this choice.
Tried. Share your psychic powers, Noir.
Yeah, it was. Oh gosh,
it was hers. So.
Yeah, Noir's sacrificing her psychic abilities. Like there's like. like one of the few times she didn't have psychic abilities was when Tiffany was about to be shot. Other time was when Dr. Perrault was saying, "Okay, I'm going to put you in suit and use as a weapon now." Like that, and
Tiffany
her
was
psychic
trying
powers.
to help.
She's kind of like had them since she was a baby. Like if you took that from her, it's like it's very
Question
much
on
part
the
of who she
psychic
is.
powers. Would it have been possible just to split it so Noir could still have telekinesis, teleport, and Tiffany just got the mind control stuff? Or would it have to be everything?
Everything, I think.
Ark?
The offer was everything. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
No good answers.
I know. I was so scared the entire time that like you guys wouldn't be able to convince Noir to go with the majority decision. That she was just going, "Oh, I'm just going to go break the machine." Then you'd have to like, physically
I
restrain her.
it's probably fair warning if people haven't realized it already. So I'm directing this mostly to Kiwi and Quirky. If you don't want to make really horrible, difficult decisions at the end of the campaign, don't audition for my campaigns. Just don't.
That's
Don't-
exactly what we auditioned for your campaigns for.
Okay, well,
Exactly.
if you want to be that masochistic, then go right ahead.
Good
Well, I
luck,
mean,
Mass Effect,
you're-
guys.
Good luck, Mass Effect guys.
Good luck, guys.
I mean, if you are characters' backstories, you know we're already misogynistic.
It's not too late to pull out. It's not too late for you to be like, you know what? Let somebody else do that.
Oh,
I don't want to be a finalist. Good luck, somebody else.
Dear finalists, you must be so excited about joining Hark's campaign. Well, don't be.
Get ready to have your heart out.
Terrified.
I wanted to, well, in all seriousness, like I wanted to give the players control over something world changing with each campaign, just because I wanted to have an impact on and influence what happens if there was a season 2. So I'm not promising there's going to be a Pokemon season 2, but if we do, it'd be nice to know that the world state was heavily determined by the previous generation. Because as I told the main cast when they first set foot onto Johto, when I was first designing the main storyline, I had originally debated on setting the universe such that it was flipped and that the Pokemon were the dominant species and the humans were not. And I thought it would be a really interesting story to tell what that would be like if it was flipped upside down like that. But then I decided, no, for season 1, I'm just going to keep it simple and have it be pretty much the way that we are accustomed to it being, but then let the players decide at the end what they actually want moving forward. So you guys basically could decide for season 2 to be exactly the way we classically know the hierarchy to be. You could flip it upside down, or you could make it so that they're all equal.
Equal. Tiffany wants to adopt you.
If we have a season 2, that's the world state is everybody's equal now, and we can explore what that's like. So
Charlie and Annie had some cute little things throughout the session.
Yeah.
I'm glad I managed to squeeze that in.
I'm glad too. It was a great timing. There's a lot of great timings in this.
That's such a good proposal. I was just like, oh, thank goodness, something happy to talk about.
Tiffany can make a wedding dress, finally.
My favorite quote was definitely Molly looking at Bullet and saying, "We just have to not die, right?"
Oh,
God.
By the way, yes, that was Molly's secret plan with Chase this entire time, was for her to die and him to bring her back. And I've been waiting for an opportunity. Like I thought we would use it in Johto, but when we didn't get that chance, I said, okay, I was kind of private messaging Shay. I said, you know what, I'm holding on to that just in case. Like, be ready for it. And I was very happy with how it turned out, because
Mhm.
if Chase didn't stab Molly, Molly would have used the claw glove to slash her own neck in front of everyone. And if she didn't have the claw glove, she would have said that she had a knife hidden in her belt or something. It's like
Sure.
I was prepared at any moment to
Blood
say
magic.
blood
Blood
And,
magic.
I learned stuff at Venus. Watch.
yeah, and
Why
it
is
was
it the naked demon lady showing up?
yeah, the idea behind it kind of banked on whoever the audience might have been. They would have to, of course, be religious, which is why she's been so interested in who's religious and who isn't, and
Yeah.
also what particular gods they follow.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and Ho-Oh being a Johto god, that carried a lot of weight, she felt, and I felt also. So the fun thing was I actually private messaged Shay way back before session 16 saying, so would Chase be up for this?
Yes. The answer was immediately yes. Whatever she asked him to do, yes. So be
Which is
careful. You asked me to do.
Which is and the irony is Chase always struck me as the kind of person who wanted to. His role was to make it so that others didn't have to bleed, but yet here he is, purposely making someone bleed, and not
Which
just
is the
yeah.
yeah. To harken back to that scene where why he didn't cut her, it was all because of this actual thing. He was actually, I couldn't say it on the vlog and I couldn't talk about it because I was trying to preserve like Molly's secret, but it was that you know, like he promised that one time, so he wasn't going to do it when she asked him to cut her.
President Bo and the Elite Four, after the election results were in.
Oh God!
I mean, we were so ready.
God damn it!
Oh God, no!
Yeah, I was so ready to go, yay, democracy! But then, yeah.
Democracy sucks.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I was like,
You can't trust the voice of the people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we can pinpoint the second we all figure it out because our faces all go. That moment, we all freak out.
yeah.
Ella, go right ahead.
Now let's go there.
Oh, and then it was like this bit where it's like, oh yeah, of course the vote was like went well, yay democracy, and then it's like gone. It's like, oh no, they're going against the vote. They're letting the personal lives go. Well, then it's like, wait, no, the votes were actually the other way around. They just lied. I'm like, they lied?
They wanted to get the upper hand. They saw the results, and the only way they were going to get the upper hand was if they were going to do what they did.
Yeah.
And then took Johto by surprise, and they would have had a fighting chance. The irony is, and again, this is not me like saying you guys did anything wrong, because I think that you guys, there's no right or wrong sometimes. But the irony is, by taking away by taking away the serum, there was no way that Kanto is going to win against Johto. But I think that destroying the serum was a good call, although Cassie has some of it, so it's not completely destroyed. But aren't you, Cassie?
Yep, and Cassie has kept whatever hate she may or may not have in her heart. So
yeah, I'm kind of curious about what's going on with Cassie internally. Since can Riz share a little bit of insight in what's been going on in Cassie's head this whole time?
Not really.
Save it for the epilogue.
I mean, you know, she already expressed her opinion. People weren't going to change, so she wasn't going to sit around and wait for it to happen.
What did she want to see happen?
Well, she already expressed that. She wanted things to go. She wanted them to not use the device.
So she wanted to just play it out the way it's supposed to play out.
Yeah, to see what would happen. And because at least that way, then in her mind, it would have, whatever the result, it would have been worth it, because, you know, then, you know, it actually would have been based upon agency and passion and, you know, things of that nature.
And you guys had the you had the opportunity to do that too. That was definitely an option you could have chosen. So,
Yeah,
I
but
I would have
as for
honored
the
that.
group, reading the group though, it definitely didn't seem like that was an option for us. At that point, it was more like, how are we going to use the device? So she just had to be done before she physically attacked people.
Okay. Did Cassie wish then that this responsibility should never have been given to you in the first place, and fate should have just taken its turn, and you all should have been completely oblivious to it without given the chance to change it if you wanted to?
I mean, no, because Team Omni and that stuff, that would have happened, and that was something that she was glad they could, help stop.
Okay.
It's just the Johto stuff.
Would you have preferred would you have preferred, or I guess I could ask this for either in character or out of character, for the other cast, the spin-off, to not have included you in this discussion at all and let them decide? Or
No, I much preferred us having some input, because otherwise it would have been a campaign-wide thing that suddenly ended with a huge consequence.
Yeah.
Without any of our that would have been insane.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm glad the cast was brought into it. We just aren't happy with the results.
So you're yeah.
Hey, I'm not happy with that either. None of us are. Really.
The way that your groups worked is the main cast's purpose, their side of the coin, was to address a universe-wide issue, because you are going to determine the fate of whether or not this new god usurps Arceus. So that's larger, wider net universally. However, the spin-offs group, their focus was more globally around this single world, about that group's fate. And that was their piece of this whole puzzle, was to figure out a way to address what was ultimately going to happen if you didn't do something about it. And that's how both of those pieces sort of felt. So they were related, but not really, and one didn't necessarily get in the way of the other. But again, as Riz said, I felt it would be completely unfair to make a decision that changed the world the way it did without some input from the main cast, and it naturally seemed to make sense to have everybody all in one room to make a decision, as horrible of a decision as it was. If it gives you any consolation, I would not be able to say that Dragon Age Season 2 were happy with their decision. Happy with their decision is not the right thing, because I don't think that was the case. And Dragon Age Season 1, I don't think was happy with their decision either. So it's sort of like how I feel when I play a Telltale game, because sometimes I'll make a decision and I'm not happy about it, but I had to make the decision. So I get tormented by it.
Speaking of decisions and torment,
players get tormented.
Status of Kyle and Tiffany, since she kept her memories and Kyle went, nope, don't want mine.
Well, just
in
the
regards
memories
to
of the
the
meeting.
decision.
Yeah,
I
Kyle
know.
remembers you, so that
I know.
didn't change.
More just
Yeah, like this, they didn't randomly decide. It was just like a party, I guess. Like Tiffany went off with everyone else, I guess. And
yeah, my understanding is nobody's memories were wiped. Nobody forgot anything. The only thing that happened was anyone who did not believe in equality got that part of their head got altered, but everything else is intact.
okay, more meant in the moment when Tiffany accepted, I want to remember everything, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, what was the question? I don't understand the question fully.
Kyle's reaction to that. and his reaction, because he was visibly upset and wanted to not remember that meeting.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle was also very much in Cassie's boat, as he said. So he did not feel like he felt very uncomfortable being in that room and making that decision. So he would prefer just like not carrying that burden and absolving his hands of it.
Okay.
But it had nothing to do with forgetting anyone else. It was just he just didn't.
I know. I'm trying to get information for how I write the epilogue stuff.
Sure.
As to how he feels about Tiffany, you know, being one of the ones that's like, yeah, mind wipe both sides, or will bend both sides.
I think he understands. I don't think he faults anyone for voicing the things that I don't think anyone said anything that he thought you guys are like evil for thinking that. I don't think he believes that. It's just he just doesn't want to deal with it. He just doesn't want to deal with that decision.
This is not my pay grade.
This is yeah.
Did Kyle and Stephen go? Did Kyle go through like the getting just the meeting part? Just knowing there was a meeting of people, but he wasn't there, type thing.
The meeting part?
Yeah, like he was just taking a nap or something while the meeting was going on. Like, did he forget that part? Did he agree to like have? Did he request that part was taken? Then
I that's up to you, Noir. Like, do you want that part taken? Because I think all he cared about was he didn't want to worry about that decision. So anything that
like
you
the
had to
decision
remove
in the room.
Yeah, so if it makes sense for you to remove other parts of that meeting because it ultimately implies something about that decision, then maybe you would remove that. I don't know.
I'm guessing the entire meeting, because that's basically all we talked about.
And if that makes it easier, then sure, you can wipe the entire meeting then from his head.
He's gonna be very confused. Why is Tiffany's earring in my collar?
Why is everybody so nice to each other?
Yeah,
all
but
of a
there's
sudden?
there's also like
I'm
this
gonna
like
lose my job.
There's like a replacement scene like that Noir would share with Tiffany of like why she pinned the thing on. Like she workshop that with Kyle and Tiffany, so they're happy with the replacement.
I have been waiting all season to do that, by the way, after that ship kicked off. Like, how am I gonna get it to him?
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad. But now you get to make up your own dream version of that.
They're really the best.
Yeah.
One random thought that I had during Annie's phone call with Nevi, I kept picturing like that scene in Frozen with Elsa being like, "You can't marry a man you just met," and then Anna just being like, "You can if it's true love." That's what I kept picturing.
I mean, in Charlie's case, I think it's even worse because technically Charlie hasn't been calling Carolyn for the whole time. So,
right.
Hey, you know that girl I met the other day? Yeah, we're gonna get married.
And she's a Kearney.
Yeah.
Oh,
As much as Charlie loves his sister, he also felt that the whole situation he was in, he would prefer not to have her mixed into that in case it got like illegal in some ways, because he knows Carolyn worked really hard to get there in the Rangers. So yeah, he didn't want her to get mixed in that in case it took her job. So there was no contact at all for the whole campaign. And it's kind of sad knowing that Anthony did not call, because like in the campaign, Charlie gave Anthony Carolyn's number.
the epilogue hasn't happened, A, and B, you might get a little bit of insight on that in the next session that I post.
Oh, okay.
So hold that thought until you watch the next session.
Okay.
Yeah, that was agonizing. So,
Oh.
just to establish just how many plates are not in Cassie's possession right now, Molly still has the sky plate.
Lux has Zap. Tiffany has Rock.
Noir has
Noir, do you
ice.
still have Ice?
Because Lux gave it to her, so hang on to that.
But when this is all done, she does need all the plates, you guys.
No.
So...
Nope.
Molly will have
Tiffany will trade.
Molly
She
will
wants
give it
the
back.
psychic now. Get powers, darn it.
Molly does plan to give it back. Like I was holding on to it because Shay and I actually had an interesting conversation over on Discord. We said that, if Molly, Molly has wings now, and she has a flaming sword, and she has Chase next to her, who is technically a Mimikyu. If she faces a dragon, then that would be a very interesting reinterpretation of that picture.
Oh, you gotta fix up the picture. There was no wings in that picture.
Part of me was hoping, somewhat hoping that we would run into Liz or something, but no, there were more important things to be done.
With all of this with what you did, that also means that the members of Team Omni sees everybody as equals. Are you going to forgive them and not go after them, or are you going to? You're not going to forgive them. You're going to hunt them down.
Lux isn't.
Okay.
Tiffany is more, let's get people into their right bodies and we'll see where things go. Lux wants death.
So yeah.
And as his brother left him to his own devices, that might go really bad.
So if any of you want to address that in your list of, because I'm going to assume that you're going to leave Team Omni alone now that they are peaceful. But if you don't want to do that, then specify.
Oh, by the way, poor Litwicks.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Yes.
I was kept
Speaking of
expecting
messed
someone
up.
to do something, and then no one did anything, and then it's like,
Tiffany more just accept it. It's like they want to die, fine.
Or something they believe
She
in.
was more freaked out by Lux screaming and
They went to a good place. A place they chose.
I was honestly not entirely sure what to do with the Litwicks, even out of character. And then when that started happening, I was like, still not sure what to do about this.
Hey, I wasn't going to do anything. You guys threw me on the spot. So I was like, okay. Chase only sees this one way. They are made of fire and ghost. So
When I went in, I expected you guys to talk the Litwicks into joining your cause, or at least
it's awkward.
Teaching them not to do whatever they've been doing. So that's what I expected. So I was a little surprised that you all just killed them off.
and then the responses as spirits in afterlife, it's like, why are you digging your own graves? Stop doing it.
Yeah, they're digging their own
graves.
graves.
The character,
And he was
going, wait, what?
They're very easily influenced, and so if you wanted to, I felt it would have been really easy to convince them to stop doing those bad, shady things.
Tiffany even helped him with the charm. She made him pretty. He has her pretty shield.
It super easy to do that. But if you did do that, is that considered a type of brainwashing, kind of, sort of?
Exactly.
Isn't that kind of, sort of the same thing, or no?
Mm-hmm. Black or white.
And he was, during that whole scene, was basically just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch this. This is sad.
I do not want to associate myself with these people.
These people. Who are they?
I did, as a player, I actually wanted the Litwicks to follow Chase around. That was my. I was like, oh, it'd be
I put
cool
in the
if Chase
chat,
had
you
like a
got your
little army
cult?
of like.
Litwicks, yeah.
I wanted that as a player, but I was like, no, they don't know what they're doing. They're already broken, so they might as well go thinking in positive things, which is their ascension. And if that's positive to them, then from Chase's point of view, it's like, well, then let them die happy, So
Make them honorary clay fairies.
That was one of the routes I was considering.
Having a whole bunch of Litwicks follow you around.
Well, no, just making them honorary
Honorary
Clefairies.
Clefairies.
Fairies, part of the murder tribe. You asked for my firstborn. Here you go. I adopted.
I adopted 24 Litwicks. Here you go.
Clefairies are one of the most horrific Pokemon in the universe.
But now they wouldn't be, right?
But
That's
now
the
they
thing.
won't be, maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
Well, I think they'll
they're
just murder
equal.
people equally. Pokemon and humans alike. They'll just murder equally.
They're not murdering with hate in their hearts.
Right.
They're murdering with love and joy. So they broke the rule.
Very way.
There's like, all out war, bad, but
Oh man.
general murder, that's fine.
Exactly.
I think the implication is that you're not going to be able to permanently get rid of hate per se.
Sure.
I think the implication was the day-to-day, like, society's day-to-day attitude is Pokemon and humans are on equal footing, and they should be treated. So I don't think you just solved crime. Because I think Kyle Jenny would be ticked off if he lost his job. So I think that, and I don't think that you're gonna nullify like war, but if there is gonna be war, it's not because of equality.
Not because of that.
It's not gonna be because of equality. It's gonna be of something else. So
Yeah. Like,
I like
there's still a
season
lot
2.
of free will, but it's not like complete free will. It's like, oh gosh, that was decision. That's why I include the whole like questions of suicide with Noah, because it's like, sorry about that.
it's when you look at it on paper. The idea is when you look at it on paper, it seems like having all the Pokemon be equal and live in harmony. That's the good ending. That's the good ending that you're supposed to get in a video game. But I have to be like, well, you can't do that in real life, really. Like, it'd be nice if that happened in real life, but I'm sorry to say the world doesn't work that way. In order to achieve that in the time that you have, you kind of have to find it in magical means or by brainwashing them. But even if you did it in magical means, that's essentially brainwashing anyway. If somebody read a story where somebody finds a magic lamp and they tell the genie, "I wish for world peace," you might be like, "Oh, that's awesome," and they lived happily ever after because this person wished for world peace. Well, hate to break it to you, but you kind of just brainwashed everybody into world peace. But in a story,
And suddenly the world is empty.
Yeah, that's well. I'm not gonna be any spoilers because I know where that's from. But you look at it like that's a happy ending, right? They all lived happily ever after in peace. So why are you guys upset about this? Why do you guys feel guilty about this?
Yeah.
You did it. You achieved world peace.
Careful what you wish for.
Pretty much.
I'm not sure. I might have to think on this a little bit more, but Annie might develop some reservations later down the road of what she had done, but currently she's calling this a win in this current moment.
Yeah, conflicted win's a safe way to describe it.
As for Charlie, I think part of the reason he wanted to forget about the meeting as well is because the whole thing made him so incredibly nervous. I don't think he, as a character, would have like been able to function okay, knowing the choices he had to make. Yeah. Considering everything he's been through, I don't think he would have been able to handle the truth.
So, what was the made-up truth that he gave himself? Was it some other save the world thing, just stopping like a type of
Yeah, it's
stopping a
probably
bomb from going off or something, instead of some horrible moral decision? Probably.
I don't know, probably replace the memory of the meeting for something like, oh well, I
And
Like,
he
just
and Kyle went twin sailing, and it was awesome. And
It just probably replaced it with like a little party where he proposed to Annie and
something
just
like
like
that. It
filtered
was a
out
little,
everything else.
a little less disastrous. Well, it wasn't that disastrous. It's just that probably not the way Charlie would have wanted to propose.
Yeah.
Wanted to have his cupcakes and everything, but
I was actually like debating having her say like, yes, but on one condition, you do it later and you do it right.
Tiffany got to save LaBelle. Yay.
Yes, you did.
Did not get to save Tide, though. That's sad.
Unfortunately not. There had to be some casualties.
I know.
Um,
She already feels the first 200, so yeah.